Hello, lords and ladies of the internet. Welcome back to the Council of Candor. And today we're going to be talking about Dragon Age. Not just that terrible new game Veilguard, but the entirety of Dragon Age as a whole. Joining with me tonight, I have several of your favorite co-hosts. First up is Mr. Garbled. How you doing today, Garbled?
Salutations, my lord. I am doing pretty alright. I don't have too much going on in my life right now, but that's probably for the best.
And next up, we have returning co-host, Mr. Pops. How you doing, Pops?
Yeah, what's up, man? Doing pretty great. What I want to say real quick about this game, kind of as like a thesis statement, was because like if we look back, it was one of those fantasy games that kind of changed at least the gaming genre when it first came out, right? Like it had like more mature stuff in the gameplays, darker stuff. And you got to remember it was like before Game of Thrones was like on TV and I think it was before The Witcher too.
Yep.
So like it's one of those things originally that was like really important for the genre when you look back. I don't think I'm going to be spending money or anything on this new game, but one question I had from everything I heard was like why did this have to get made? You know, like you spent 11 years right working on it, and it's like this is what they came up with. So it's frustrating because it feels like it's one of those things where they keep kind of renewing and like bringing stuff up from where it was already beloved and kind of spent, and then making it a new thing that's like twisted into like something that's popular, unfaithful to the the source material, and unfaithful to the fans a lot of the time. So it's like it's funny because I haven't seen anybody defending it. I think people are just kind of like they're kind of sick of stuff like this happening now, and I feel like it's almost like when they try to do things like that and twist it around, it's like lost its novelty. I feel like it doesn't appeal to people as much anymore. So it's kind of like my thesis statement here. That's like my opinion.
I see.
Gotcha.
And last but not least, back from the robot dimension is Mr. Zug. His microphone's working this time, and he is definitely going to be talking more. Is that right, Zug?
That's good.
Talking more and actually understandable at the same time, hopefully.
What'd you say?
Well, fuck you.
All right.
Not
Language.
make me bring you to the robot dimension with me. I can still go back there.
All
All right.
So, we are also going to be joined by Mr. Pag in his famous book, but that is going to be later. Until now, chat, a few things I want to cover first. First and foremost, I would like to give a special thank you to I don't know how to put this. So, in order to give you guys a little bit of entertainment for tonight while we are talking about this, I have decided that we're going to be playing a little bit of gameplay of the Dragon. Oh, it's Pag. Hello, Pag. How you doing?
Hi, how's it going, guys?
Excellent. We
What
just
up, man?
starting.
The prodigal son returns.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So,
Any
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you first, sir.
I was going to tell Pag to go ahead.
Oh, to go ahead? I don't have anything to
Yeah.
say. I do my best to not have anything to say.
You
Keeps
better
me-
have something related. No,
Oh, I got something to say.
Yeah.
Shout out, first of all, like I said, to a little channel called Silent Gameplays. I have
Yeah.
his video going to be playing in the background as in between topics and sessions. And Pags runs the call. It messed up the call. Give me a sec to fix the call, everybody. Since the Discord didn't
Sorry.
get it correctly. It's not your fault. It's just the way Discord moves stuff. It's a beautiful
Nice.
service.
Anyway.
It definitely works all the time. Thank you for our furry overlords. All right, so yes, shout out to Mr. Silent Gameplays, and his video will be going up in the background now. All right, and we will be pausing it as we bring up topics and other pieces of media to talk about. I just wanted to give you guys something in the background, so in between things, besides the lovely, lovely temple that you are used to seeing. And I apologize in advance because this game is hot doo-doo. We have a couple topics to do. First and foremost, I want to talk about Veilguard in its current state. This game is quite upsetting to me. I want to talk about something strange to start with, but it's purely the aesthetics and style. those of you who are watching the stream right now probably are seeing some of this really cool art that this game has. This game starts out with an art style we've seen in other Dragon Age games. This almost like medieval paintings. That's what they usually do for a lot of important story beats, or for like the introductions like this game has, or other relevant like thematic and heavy pieces. There's been like this for years, and it's fantastic. Now,
I feel like Halo did this too, or not
Halo
Halo, Fable.
Fable does this too. Yes, Fable had this as well, and I think that this is a good thing for fantasy games to do, and I think that this fits well. The thing I want to bring up,
Yeah, it's
though,
a nice little aesthetic convention.
yes, you will see shortly
no,
that all the characters, though, like the in-game characters, are cartoony. They kind of did what Civilization 6 did. However, Civilization 6 leaned into the jokingness a little bit, making the characters more meme-like. This game, it looks
It's a
like
total
Pixar
whiplash.
movie.
The characters.
This game is definitely
I think
joke-like.
I saw. Oh, darn it. Sorry, I'm blanking on it, but I'm seeing the art style, and I'm pretty sure that there was like a Reddit thread that showed that they intentionally went a more cartoony look compared to everything else.
Yes, they did. They wanted it to contrast with previous Dragon Age games, which I understand for this game why they did that, but by them doing that, it proves the problem with this game. They went out of their way to make sure this game is not...
They wanted to disconnect it from the rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Which,
like
at that
other
point-
girls. I'm worse.
Yeah, much
Which,
worse.
if that point, just make a new fucking IP.
Yeah.
If you want to distance yourself so much from the original that you want to be your own thing,
well, who was
do your own thing.
like? That's part of like what I've tried to bring up before about like why they do it this way. It was like, who was complaining about it before that they felt the need to do this? What was the issue?
Yeah, I got no idea. And it's weird because Dragon Age, as we're going to establish, has sort of been on hiatus for like a decade. So this is your comeback game. This is the game that you're basically re-announcing yourself.
Mhm.
You missed an entire console generation, basically, with Dragon Age. So now you're coming back in and you're saying, okay, boys and girls, this is our return to form. And it starts out what you expect to be a very cool and sleek game, because a lot of the gameplay that they show off looks fun. It looks impactful. But a lot of reviews from the people that have played it, and a lot of other people I talked to, such as Skill Up, will go in and talk about how repetitive the combat is. How it's somehow more repetitive than something like Skyrim's combat, which is outstanding.
It's flashy, but no substance.
Yeah. You'll find yourself
And also,
doing the same
is
3 or
this
4
Skyrim
moves
still-
over and over again. Go ahead, Garbled.
I'm thinking of like how popular is Skyrim still, even though it
Still
had all that
insanely
repetitive.
popular.
It's still very, very popular. Skyrim is will never die.
No.
It's because modded
Sky-
Skyrim is a goat.
Oh yeah,
That-
yeah.
Even
it turns out.
unmodded
Modded.
Skyrim has its
Yeah.
moments. Like
Yeah.
when you first explore a Druger catacombs,
Oh.
it has like that tension feeling into it. Like
Yes, I
Skyrim
mean,
has a lot
honestly,
of good environments and good exploring. It's just that
Skyrim
the
is a good
combat.
enough game to get you through most of it.
yeah, and
Exactly.
for its time, when it released, it was good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Skyrim's
I'm
almost
looking
almost
at
to, like,
the
get a
Steam
driver's
DB
license.
page for it. Skyrim is currently at about 19.5 thousand players. Like that's really strong, especially when it was released. The special edition was released in 2016. Like that's good.
So it's an 8-year-old game at the latest you want to measure it. In reality, it's a 13-year-old game with a coat of paint.
New
Something
Code
like
of Paint, yeah.
Yeah, that game
Yeah, seriously.
is like 3 generations old, I believe, at this point. Because that's 360.
Very.
so- and it's still being played as much as current day Veilguard is, just to give you a perspective of how bad it is. But yeah, as you're seeing through the gameplay, as you can see on screen right now, it's very much more of a cartoony art style. This is a trend that happens in a lot of media, where the idea of that the memes and like the in-jokes become the property. Star Wars suffers from this tremendously. That's why you have
Oh,
things like in The Mandalorian, where it's canonical that the Stormtroopers are too stupid to hit. That's not a good thing to put into canon. That ruins your canon by taking that joke and making it in-universe. Things like that are like out-of-universe jokes are a problem. The worst parts of Game of Thrones are like this too. The whole idea of Cersei sipping her
Oh,
wine.
the Hound and
Like the
I was gonna say-
jokification of the main property. Or, no, I think the term is
say-
Flanderization.
Flanderization.
Yeah,
Kind of.
Flanderization.
The biggest example was probably because people on Reddit memed the Clegane Bowl into existence when the Hound fought the Mountain. Like, the Hound went on a whole character arc. They totally just reversed it and switched it around and made him basically undo his entire arc where he'd found peace just for the sake of, the meme. And it was
It was
like,
It
I'm
was
not
a
gonna
pretty
lie,
good
I
meme. Yeah.
it was an entertaining fight. Like, I did enjoy watching it, but ultimately it had no place there in the greater universe because it made no sense. But yeah, I
Antithetical to
forgot
his storyline.
they did that in the Han Solo movie too, where he shoots first. Which again, come on.
This is taking the memes, the jokes, and the references to the community and making them canon in a way that's like, I don't know. Just
We just did that.
It breaks.
That's
It,
another
it
thing.
breaks
The writing
the
of
immersion.
the dialogue is atrocious in this game. But I'm just starting with the a lot of the ideas behind some of this stuff, the things that lead into it.
Yeah.
It takes
And-
a tongue-in-cheek thing that happened because of editing mistakes or stuff like that, or one-lines, and it made it meta, which
Yeah.
destroys usually the world building and immersion.
Exactly.
Like people are like, "Oh, the stormtroopers missed the heroes." Well, if you actually think about it in universe, Vader's whole plan was to let them escape so they could follow them. So them missing could be on purpose.
Yeah. Also,
If
it
Darth
totally
Vader tells you you're going to miss, and if you die, you die. It's like, okay, well, Vader's telling me to do something. If I don't do it, he's going to force choke me. So I guess I'll just miss.
the worst
Yeah.
part is that it I think the term is retcon, where it takes away the tension in the scene that we originally saw that became the joke, but it takes away the tension that makes that part of the story even mean anything. It's frustrating. It's frustrating in like multiple. The way that it affects the older stuff too. When you look back, is like it's just like why'd you do this? You're just making the entire thing worse.
Well,
As well as the
was
general
nice when,
tonal dissonance.
because they see fan interaction with stupid thing, so they go, "Oh, fan likes stupid thing. Put stupid thing in here. Get laugh. Yada yada."
Yeah.
Yeah, you can never artificially create like a viral thing like that. You know what I mean?
It's like with like Boba Fett, who had like what 2 lines in the second movie, became this big thing because you're so mysterious, and then they tried making an entire TV show out of him, and it doesn't work like that. Like the whole reason of his popularity was his mystique.
There's just so many examples. It's like that's what annoys me is like the people that are making these things. They can't create something new. You know?
They just
Nothing
ruined
regurgitates.
things. Yeah.
Speaking of ruining things, another problem with this game is it does not have the trappings of a Dragon Age game. Dragon Age as a franchise, since Origins, has been ashamed that it's a squad-based tactics game. It's been upset about this fact. It wants to be an action RPG. And you can see that with Dragon Age 2, and then how flashy the combat got in Dragon Age 3. But you always could control your other characters, you could switch around people, and have a good time. The reason this is because a lot of players will use their main hero not as themselves. The best way to play this game isn't as playing you, it's to say what NPC interactions do I want to have, then build your main hero off of that. The great example is in Dragon Age Origins, there's only one healer mage in the entire game. So, that's Wynn. If you don't want to play with Wynn, you either need to make a build that doesn't require healing, which is not too hard if you go full tanks, or you need to make
or you make yourself the healer mage.
Or you make yourself the healer, exactly. So my last playthrough of Dragon Age Origins, I played a female wizard, and I went through it. I had Alistair, I had Zevran, and I had Dog. I had my 2 boyfriends and my dog hanging out with me. And it was a lot of fun playing the game with that. Because I don't get to see Zevran and Alistair interact very often, because usually I'm playing a warrior or a rogue. So now I get to have that interactions, which is a set of interactions you normally don't get. By forcing you as the player to have this, you don't get that interactions anymore. You have to, you still have to pick other the characters. And that's kind of upsetting. So if I don't like playing a healer, but I need to have a healer in my party, I can't make Alistair my tank that I like to play. I have stuck playing the healer character.
Yeah, because Veilguard only has one warrior NPC.
Regardless of that, Veilguard you only play as yourself though. You don't switch characters anymore.
Yeah.
You can't even really.
It looks more like a. It looks more like a spectacle fighter than
like Devil May Cry and the like.
No, more like warriors or Orochi and stuff like that. for like more like a Warriors game.
Yeah, I mean they've got he's got the footage on stream right now, and it looks
that's
just
what I'm
like
looking at, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking that it kind of looks like Devil May Cry and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
Right,
Spectacle Fighter. Yeah.
And again, like that's fine
Yeah.
if you want that game, but like that shouldn't be your comeback Dragon Age game. We
No,
talked
Yeah,
about
because it's
should
not a
be-
Dragon Age.
Yeah, and if it
What
is,
they
just
should have
say
done was
spin-off.
return to form.
Well, the
Yeah,
whole idea. Oh, yeah.
If you want to throw a spin-off game in, you don't make that as your comeback in 10 years. You make a comeback game that's Dragon Age, and then you say, oh yeah, this is Dragon Age Flurbaderp, the spectacle fighting Dragon Age. And then you just do that.
This is a shorter, more narrative.
What they should have
focused
done
game,
was
and we're not. It doesn't have
Yeah.
sweeping choices of your typical Dragon Age game. This is just a fun story we want to tell in the world using these mechanics. Your next Dragon Age RPG is still coming out. Don't worry. Again, I don't want to point to them because they fail a lot lately. But Bethesda's a great example. When the new Blades game came out, they were very out there and said, "Look, this is not your next Bethesda game. This is not your next Elder Scrolls game. This is a side story. It's a mobile game. If you want to play it, go ahead. But it's not your next RPG." And by making it very clear to the audience, the backlash that should have really been there for Blades was not there because it's a microtransaction dungeon crawler game, and that by it coming out, we didn't get Skyrim 2 for another 5 years. But there was no backlash to the game when it came out. Why? Because Bethesda was very clear. This is not your market replacement. This is just another thing we're doing. Same with Fallout.
Yeah, they didn't pull a Diablo. Don't even people have phones?
It's basically I'm admitting. Okay, we're
Is this
using
an
this
out
setting.
of season April Fool's joke?
Well,
Man,
what
they
they
got
did with
nailed
Blades is
that
it's basically
year.
they admitted to everyone we're using this Skyrim as a setting to do something experimental.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
wish
which
more
is-
companies
The
As long as you're upfront with that and people realize that, that's fine.
yeah, the
Yeah.
important thing. The important thing
I
is
think
the fact
they
that
should have done with Veilguard is that with the time they had, they should have developed it into two different ways. So you could have either had the Inquisition, where it's full action-oriented combat, you can switch back and forth, or you select this at the start of the game. Do you want to play Origins or Inquisition? So that means if you pick Origins, you play like Origins. So you have like the tactical basis, the positioning, the cooldowns, the turn base of it, and if you want to, you can play Inquisition mode as well. So that way your comeback caters to both the original fans and the previous fans of Inquisition, and you have a solid story. So no matter who picks and what plays it, you're appeasing both player bases and you're having it function well.
yeah, that's why
take a lot of time, but when you got
so,
10 years, you got plenty of time.
And
it's so important.
the assets between the games too. If you wanted to switch to this more art style, then that's fine. But as long as you tell people this is what we're going for. But I think this art style is a tragedy. Again, I want to go back to it. It looks like a Pixar film. Look at some of the faces and how rounded the edges are. Look how soft everything is.
Yeah.
This is
Like,
not a
Do you have
Dragon
this
Age.
comparison image up,
behind
kid? The of like the previous Dragon Age games versus the current one.
If you post one in council text, I can pull it up. I'll pause. This
Didn't we
gameplay.
have one in there earlier?
Look, it got
Let 'em
mods by
scroll up to
Legacy
that.
posting 200 different raccoon memes. So
We love Legacy.
we do
From
love
what
Legacy.
from what I've seen of Veilguard
Indeed.
is that the team who did like all the background art and the actual setting and places, they're sticking to what to Dragon Age was. Whoever did the character models is just completely out there. Like it's two separate teams, like two separate countries.
Yeah, like you have to make it very clear this is a comeback game. So you have to appeal to an existing audience. You can't try to just call it a comeback and then have your cake and eat it too, drawing in new people that without, leaving behind the people that were already there as fans. Yeah.
Here's the meme that Garbled and Zug were referencing
Those
earlier.
fans are toxic.
Look at
Those
look
fans
at
are
how
toxic and shouldn't be hated.
look at the Canary here. This new character who I don't want to talk about the problems with this character yet. We'll get into her or them. But
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into them later. But if you look at this character, this is how the Canary are. Look how much softer their face is compared to, the Arashock over here, who is just like
It's
angular.
appealing to. It's trying to make them more sexualized to appeal to some really crazy people out there.
So
The
my honest
Qunari
thing is, I
originally-
think they're trying to make them look
They
more
were
like tieflings from the fifth.
I
edition.
think it's supposed to, it's an effort towards like making them almost like aesthetically sympathetic, like not to just not to derail, but it's similar to the way they did the orcs and the Rings of Power. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, let me unugly you up.
They're
And
like
the thing
human.
with the Kunari is that they're very monstrous in appearance, but they have a very strict code of honor and ethics, which counteracts with their appearance. They look like demons, they look like monsters, but outside the very few that joined the what was it, the Black Blood or Black? I'm trying to remember the bad guys in Origins names, but the very few that joined them, a lot of them still had that honor. They still had that. No, we have honor and code and stuff like this, and we're not going to be cowardly.
Was
in a
it
sort of
like
lawful evil way, you mean? Or
now, what's important though is that wouldn't you agree?
I think Kunari is like medieval Klingons, basically.
Klingons, and they also have some interesting, like, you could tell the designers wanted to take the idea of like the Ottoman Empire with the Muslims, how they that aspect of it didn't even give them gunpowder and boats, and they took them and made this interesting. How the Europeans would think of Muslims is how they made the Kunari look, which I think is fascinating. And it really goes to show that the creators originally had this great idea for how the characters should look. They should look like these otherworldly, almost near demonic monsters. But as Zug said, once you get to know them, you realize they're just dogmatic and they have full faith in what's going on here. And it's fantastic. It makes you really think about the code and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and switch back now for chat.
But yeah, that's another reason why it's so frustrating, because by taking away the contrast between the appearance and then kind of the inner workings and their own beliefs, it totally just, wouldn't you agree? It takes away an entire layer of characterization that makes them like kind of endearing in their own way. It makes them individual.
It takes away from the subtlety and actually going past your own personal biases and basing upon physical appearance first and foremost, and actually looking beneath the surface. It's kind of like people like I compare like Avatar with the Blue Na'vi and what was it, Sector 8? What was the one with the cockroach aliens?
Hang on a second. I want to respond to what Natalia said. Anthropomorphization. I don't think that's the term we're going for, because they're not making them look more human-like. They're making them look softer. If anything, it'd be cutification. Would probably be a closer word to it.
Well, no, he's not, because anthropomorphize can mean like kind of in a more sensitive sense rather than appearance, right? I think it's
anthropomorphizing means you're making it more bipedal. Like it has like, so you take an animal and you make it stand on two legs. It has hands, it has arms. Its eyes are centered on the face, the ears on the sides of the head.
Yeah, no. What they're doing to the Kunari is they're making them into twinks. They are twinkifying them.
Yes, sir. I'm not a furry artist, so
I think Kid actually got about like they're trying to make them like tieflings, but blue instead of red.
They really feel like, if we look at their aesthetic and look at it's going to sound weird. If you look at the official cosplay guides that they have, they very much follow the same pattern that cosplay guides for tieflings have, which is, again, you have to understand the people who are creating this game, and we're going to get into it as we keep talking, their mindset and what mentality they were in when they made this, and this explains every single choice they made. I fully believe everybody who made this game is a fan of these games, but they're the wrong type of fan. They're the fans for the wrong reason. These are the fans that ruin things because they're
It's exactly like what happened with D&D. I think Tieflings is an interesting comparison, because the exact same thing happened with Tieflings. They got twinkified.
They got a lot softer. They got more attractive. They got skin. They used to be like
horrifying monsters. They used to be like horrifying monsters.
They supposed to be like demon spawn that was spawned from rituals of like they're like half human, half demon.
They're like horrific corruptions.
It's usually
that's what they're supposed to be.
But the demon takes over. Yeah.
But like, what if their main defining feature was now that they were hot?
Woo-woo. Yeah.
It's funny because that came
about. What if their defining feature was that they're non-binary?
Well,
it's also
Tieflings coming out as hot is actually an accident, because what happened is D&D tried to justify all the Tieflings everywhere because they were popular mechanical race because they had some good bonuses, especially for sorcerer. So they said, well, what's the most common type of tiefling? Obviously, it's got to be a succubus. So they gave tieflings a charisma bonus, which naturally made them the hot guys, which by making them accidentally the hot tieflings, it turned into everybody wanting to play the new hot edgy demon boys, because everybody wants to be the
Mhm.
edgy demon boy because that's just how people are. I mean, everybody wanted to be drow before tieflings. The difference is drow never were allowed to be ruined because they already started that way. They already started out as these twinks, if you will.
Yeah, the
There's no
sexuality
option
was
to fix
already a
them.
primary component of drow, like their like hypersexuality. Whereas with tieflings,
Well,
it was
because-
never like that originally.
Well,
This
what
is-
the drow is that it was baked into their lore. Like they were a matriarchal
Yeah, that's-
society,
yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying. Yeah.
debauchery, degeneracy, physical appearance. Like they would literally kill ugly and deformed children because that's not perfect, or in the image of Lolth, who is like the most pristine drow in her drow form. So that's
Pristine.
actually got a lore reasoning why they all look like sexually attractive, or they could be like succubi or charismatic. Like that's part of their lore. That's part of their entire culture, is making sure the ugly don't survive. The tieflings
Yeah.
weren't built around that.
Elves. It's a great thematic piece too for drow.
Yeah,
But
they
Yeah.
are physically more attractive than the elves in by other races, but they are absolutely abhorrent beings.
Hmm.
it's the epitome of
Yeah.
the outside doesn't match the inside, which is ironic because it's the
Exactly.
opposite for like the Dwergar and the Sturf Neblin, who also associate in the same realms as them. But besides that point,
Yeah.
that concept of let's make this character race beautiful got applied to the Qunari, which is kind of the opposite of what they should be. By doing that, they've ruined the entire storyline of the Qunari. If you like one of the main, well, I wouldn't say ruin the entire thing of it. They ruined one of the key aspects of it. They're off-putting.
Yeah, one of the
They
main
turn it from
beats.
being something that needs. They turn it from being subtle and the player having to experience it and dig it, to just making it on the nose obvious for everyone just to look at it. Oh, they're not monsters. Look how cute they are. Like, no, you're defeating the entire purpose of it. Like they
Mhm.
were demonized by other cultures in the society. They were called monsters. If you look at the Qunari and Veilguard, they don't look like monsters. They look no more different than the other fantasy races. But in Dragon Age Origins,
It's just
they
It's
literally
almost
just
look
like humanoid variants.
they're smaller versions of the actual hell spawn or demon spawn of the monsters. Like the Qunari are just smaller versions of them.
Oh.
Origins had them basically just being like really tall black guys, but that was because they couldn't. When they made Origins, they couldn't get the horns to work right for Sten, so they just said he cut his horns off because they always intended to have them have horns. But because they cut Sten's horns off, they never put horns back on the other Qunari. So it was just this weird thing when none of the Qunari in the game had horns because they just didn't model them correctly. But we know they supposed to have horns because the ogres, who are Qunari babies, have horns.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting little dilemma they ran into. And because of that,
But
it was just like, it was a weird thing going from Dragon Age 1 to 2, that they all went from just like really tall black guys with blonde hair to now having being these like monsters with horns. It's like, well, they were always supposed to look like this, guys. Trust us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think if you wanted to do like a lore explanation of it, which they probably could have done, was they could have made it that because they joined the demons, the devil spawns, the infectious blood of it reverted them back to something less than they were. So you could have actually had the
easy
lore.
to say they cut their horns off, and instead was the only one that we saw with his horns. None of the other Qunari even had a name in the first game. There was just Qunari mercenaries. Who cares?
So the generals of the Hellspawn had them cut their horns off because the horns are like a symbol of Qunari's. Like, no, you're one of us.
Whatever the reasoning is, it kind of doesn't matter, because it's just it's one guy in the first game. They had the retcon, which is fine. So now you have this new thing, and it adds to the thing. This is why I'm not against all retconning, because some retcons can do really good things and add to the setting. And then you have this retcon.
It depends on what you choose.
Yeah, exactly, which starts to remove a lot of these interesting aspects.
Well, I think that the issue with that kind of retcon that we see in this game versus how they got, in regard to how they got made softer and humanized and almost, secatualized, was like you're appealing to the wrong. You're appealing to a minority. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't expect to really make something that people are going to like when you're like, oh, well, 5% of you might, make fan art of this explicitly.
Yeah, the weirdos we have in our office, they like this, and that's who we're going for.
It goes back to the cosplay guides. As a bunch of, we're just going to assume here, straight white men, most of us don't do a lot of cosplaying. Most of us don't go into cosplay guides as intently as a lot of these people do.
I've been to some conventions, but I don't dress up, and oh boy.
Yeah. I'm not even just dressing up as mild cosplay. There's some very intense cosplay stuff that goes on with cosplay guides and the way that community works. I have friends who are actually like professional, like they get paid to cosplay for companies. The companies will hire them to make their own costumes and stuff. And talking to them, these guys are intense. They're very like the way that they make they're regimented, and how this thing has to be this color, this has to be this exact measurement. All these things are hyper regulated down to the nth degree. Knowing that, that's what's going on here.
You're painting stuff.
Well, yes, that's what's going on here.
Like,
they wanted to make the cosplaying of the characters easier, so they make them softer and much more easier to do. We do have to do a quick side tangent to answer for Not Alfarius. What is a bigger walking red flag, a Tiefling player or a Kinder player? Kinder players. They all get killed on sight.
Yeah.
Not the character.
For real.
Anybody who wants to play Kinder, kill them on sight.
You should be like, I'm sorry.
They're playing a troll. That's what Kinders are. They're just troll characters.
Yeah, just be like, I'm sorry, all of the Kinders are gone in this setting. They died of
all the
herpes.
races, good and evil, unified together to banish them from the realm. Because no one likes the Kinder.
Mm-hmm.
It was
first race ever made. So, going back to Veilguard.
But like leprechauns mixed together.
The worst parts of all of them. So going back to Veilguard for a second. This game's also incredibly lazy. Several viewers, have talked about the open world here being one of those pseudo open worlds where it pretends that you can actually go out and explore stuff. It's like, oh, look, it's like Zelda. There's all these towers to do. But I don't have any clips of it. You can go to watch Skill Up's video if you want to see his specific clips he shows. But there are several puzzles that are like even easier than the stupid claw puzzles in Skyrim. And at least
I saw a few.
Yeah, you probably saw a couple of them. Like I think this player is going to see one in a second. There's like a puzzle you need to do where there's a bridge you need to form. Okay, how do you form the bridge? There's a pedestal here. All right, you need to find the artifact for the pedestal. If you literally look to the right and go down the hallway, that's what the artifact is. And that's not the tutorial one that's showing you how this thing works. That's like 4 or 5 of them are like that.
Look, they're just making their puzzles games journalist friendly. Like, what do you want? They wanted that 99 on IGN.
The open world.
I can understand on some level. Like, you don't want to make them too complicated.
Goes off for a bit, but then trails back again.
Yeah, you don't want to make your puzzles too complex.
I don't hate if you want to go back to just having like really cool tight hallways and like sort of like battle, like because Origins did that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to build it correctly.
Rooney,
you know what I would say?
Interruption, everybody. Shout out to Mr. Blackaroni. Thank you for the super chat. We live in an age where we dragon these nuts. He is, in fact, correct. Speaking of dragons and nuts, this Sunday, everybody, go check out Mr. Rooney's channel at noon, I believe, or 11 a.m. when we're streaming. We are going to be talking about Zack Snyder's newest, I don't want to say movie. I don't want to say TV show.
Is it a TV show?
I think project is the best word for it. Because TV show and movie has too much gravitas. It's about the Norse gods. And I am endlessly curious to see what Snyder can do because he's as subtle as a brick to the face. And it's either going to make the Norse gods show awesome or stupid. I am a huge fan
Wasn't he kind of aiming for that with Superman, Man of Steel? Wasn't that kind of his shebang? He was like, "Oh, I'm going to make Superman into an old deity, and that's why he acts like a giant prick."
Yes.
In a way, yes.
Superman
but
doesn't like protecting humanity because they're just too weak and helpless and hopeless.
Yeah, chat fellas, join the server and ask a few of us about real Nordic, origins and myths if you want to learn so that you can know why we're gonna hate this new quote unquote project.
Yeah, I am. I don't want to say an expert because that's being too presumptuous. I've taken many classes on this. I have read both Tolkien and Neil Gaiman's multiple works on the Norse gods. I have read the Prose Edda. I've read multiple different translations of it, and it will be really, really bothersome when I get there and there's a giant girl boss who does everything, because that's what the trailer shows us going to be so far. I'm excited to be very angry. So I've not looked into it.
Girl boss gatekeeping?
Yeah, she's going to.
I wouldn't like the whole girl boss thing, but I wouldn't mind, because in Norse mythology, females, gods and goddesses, or goddesses and Valkyries do have power, but they're still outclassed by their male counterparts.
Well, it depends. I think from what I saw, it's Freya killing Thor. Odin, which I'm not quite sure that's how that's going to work.
What?
Her killing her husband. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Why would you do this, Slater?
That's what I'm saying. I looked at the trailer to confirm that yes, this is the show. It's on Netflix, and I watched nothing else because I want to go into it blind before I review it. I'm not watching anything, but I wanted to do the last 3 days has been Dragon Age. Then, not all fair. She didn't even know. The other clip I saw was Odin got smacked in the head, and he saw Jesus Christ coming off of his throne to wipe out the Norse gods. So yeah,
Wait,
that's 5 versions of him.
That's Zack Snyder. That's that.
Yes.
Oh,
so
I'm not.
I just need to see. I now I'm interested because I saw that clip and I'm like, all right, this is going to be the cringiest
what is
thing ever.
going on?
It's kind of like it's like when you're seeing a fever dream. Like I gotta see what this does. Like you have to see it.
All right, I'm offended at hearing that. This man knows nothing, and there's no subtlety at all there, and also he's not accurate in the least. I won't say anything else because I would go on a tangent.
You've already watched it, I assume, Pops.
No, I'm already aware. What you just said offends me to the tune of the fact that I probably know enough to know why that doesn't make sense as far as like accuracy.
No, it doesn't make any sense with Nordic.
Jesus and the cross coming off of it.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing of Norse mythology is that it's like a cyclical legend, and everybody knows the future, and that is not the future that everybody knows. So it's like, what really? How is this really anything like the Norse mythology? If you're going that far, it's a neat concept.
If you want to get really intense, there's some theories in Norse mythology that Baldur and his family are Adam and Eve. You get really intense about that if you want to.
Yeah, not even that, but
Ragnarok does end with like basically a single woman, a single man.
Yeah, Baldur and his wife.
You could see the similarities to Adam and Eve. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It annoys me in the sense that like he's going like, oh, but Jesus is better, and it's like, no, you don't understand the real history behind how those countries developed Christianity to begin with, and the way that people had to use their own mythologies to kind of build parallels and talk about why their own beliefs were relevant and how you convince them to change non-violently, to an extent. I won't get into it.
It's gonna be a fun stream, let's just say, everybody. All right, so
I'm not
absolutely.
Oh, back to
that's just going to be Pops just raging all across the way as we all just eat popcorn. And let him go.
Oh, me and Pops are going to be very angry. I can already tell. Like I said, this is not going to be a happy, fun time show. It's
I know
not
more
Rooney's
about
fault,
like
it's
the actual Norse
fault.
culture and stuff like that than their actual mythology. Like I know like a little bit, but not like I haven't read like multiple books on it. I just like more like the culture and the aspects and like the technologies, the belief systems,
I'm sorry,
the hierarchies.
So those of you I'm sorry, Zook, I got to interrupt you. Those of you who played the last game of Dragon Age, I want to pause it right here. Remember the cliffhanger? And then this is a spoiler for those of you who have not played Dragon Age Inquisition. We're going to be talking about the end of the game and how they ruined it in this stupid game. So you remember how Zook, since I know you played it, Solus here is the basically like the demigod or the god of the from the one of the gods of the elves, and he's set up as the next big villain because he's going to come back and like jihad humanity, and it's going to be this big epic thing.
He's basically like the lawful evil elf god. Yeah, manifestation into it.
Yeah, he's going to come back. And he's the next big bad guy. They set it up for the entirety of the next game, and it was very exciting to see one of your former friends is now Super Hitler. Great concept. I'm down for it.
Not just your former friend. That if you picked the elf female, he was your former lover too.
Yeah.
And they set this whole big thing where you, as the Inquisitor, the only person who can close the veil and fade, the only person that can actually stop or stand up to Solus. And there was like, oh, left on a cliffhanger, like we're going to solve this. This will be the next game, and then the Inquisitor is just not around.
And it gets worse than that. Not only is the Inquisitor not around, Solus immediately steps aside for two guys we've never heard of. There are two brand new guys that they introduced that take Solus's power and do everything he wanted to do.
But he's not Solus. So,
but why?
No, but they're cooler and sexier.
Solus shows up in the beginning. This is Act 1. He Donald Ferris says he gets his ass kicked in the beginning of the game, and then you throw him to the side like, all right, now that we dealt with you, look at our cool new characters.
Original OC, do not steal. Absolutely not Solus this time, we promise.
It's so frustrating. Because
that's
why they would do that.
It reminds me of those two Siren twins in Borderlands 3, I think it was.
Yes,
that they just came out of nowhere.
The Calypso twins.
Yeah, Yeah, they just come out of nowhere. They're like, look how cool our new characters are. You can love them, or
Yeah,
else.
I think they had to introduce new characters, but they went about it in like the worst way possible of just making them. Well, what if we made them really annoying? That'll make people want to hate them and kill them. I was like, that's no.
You're not wrong, Chief, but that's the problem. So,
listen, that's not even the real reason why it's so frustrating, at least for me, as like learning about it, is because of the fact that it's like you can arrive at the conclusion of like these new characters are capable of kicking such and such guys' butt, and then it's like boom, you raise the stakes. Now it's more interesting. Who are these people? They're new, everything. The issue is that they don't lead up to that at all. They just say this is the reality, and that's why it bothers you. Like so one of the tips I heard about writing, as far as like writing specifically, is like, so that's a satisfying conclusion for the so-called, people who are writing the script for this game. I heard a tip that was like, here's how you learn how to, make the parts of your book more satisfying. Book specifically, I try to listen to videos and get tips and everything. But it was like, try to write the scene that happens before the big satisfying climax or resolution or whatever. Like, try to imagine what leads up to it. And the issue is that these people are skipping over that entirely and just saying, no, this is what we imagined, but they don't justify it. So that's why it's
all the payoff with none of the build-up.
There you go, yeah.
And it's just...
Which I think what they could have done, actually, if they wanted to introduce like these new two powerful beings, there are other gods in Dragon Age. So what they could have done is like, for the first two acts, like Solus is like tearing apart the veil and the fade. He's like twisting the realms of reality, and you could have had like you could have had it like, so evil gods of the Kunari or the humans or the dwarves or whatever, pick a race, and you could have had them like sealed away into the fade, like some deep dark crevice of it, like at the core of it, and Solus doing all of his screwy antics, loosen those bonds. And he doesn't realize it until it's way too late, and then he gets completely reamed. And like, oh, great. Because of his shenanigans, now we're dealing with even more evil gods. Well, great.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but also entirely mean to interrupt. We have a super chat from Legacy. Writers need to learn to put their characters through the ringer, and by that I mean just getting their arse handed to them. Thank you for the British to avoid the profanity. Just look at Goku before Dragon Ball Z.
I agree completely. And it's funny bringing up Legacy.
It's something that's missing in modern writing, is that the main characters just don't get swamped anymore. Like, that's
you have to have some sort of conflict. It's like the baseline for stories is that if you want to have them grow, you have to at least introduce some amount of, are they actually going to make it to that goal? Yeah. And I think that's the problem with a lot of stuff nowadays. It's just sort of like them winning is a foregone conclusion.
The point of
one
focus
game that I really love, and I'm pretty sure people heard Lunar Silver Star story. This is a spoiler to it.
Oh no! Hey, not Alfarius, super chat. Talking with a gender affirming mirror scene.
Oh, not yet.
Gender affirming mirror.
You don't
even. Wait, is the character non-binary? What does it show them? Just nothing? Like a vampire? Like what? If you're
so much to talk about with that
guys, my mirror's malfunctioning. What do I do?
I don't get it. Like, what is it?
Okay.
In Lunar Silver Star story, so like you're basically, there's like this nice benevolent dragon. Everyone knows of him, and he does great things. And you're basically sent on a quest by your uncle to find like this local mage. Like, everyone loves him. He's generous. He's kind. He's compassionate. Oh, he has to do this. Like, oh, I have to go here, do that. No problem. It's like this mundane task. I just like, he's helping you because, oh no, like, you're a friend of your uncle and your father. I was friends with him. I fought with him back in the war. He passed away. So you do all these things and like, oh, he seems like a general person. He cares about people. He uses magic to help others. He's very benevolent. And then when you find the dragon, because the dragon's been in hiding, he basically just straight up Pokemon captures him in a dark flask. It just portrays you, and only you and you and your childhood friend knows. And he brands you as heretics and the reason why, like, there was an assassination attempt. So you have the entire nation.
Is this the gender affirming mirror?
This is Lunar Silver Star story.
Oh,
gotcha.
Oh, it's a PlayStation 1 game.
That's not the gender.
So
okay.
So your entire setup is that you're so not only do you get this guy completely screws over everything. He captures a powerful dragon that makes his soul and his body his to command at his will. And this thing's like old school dragon. You're like, 2,000-year-old can like wipe out an entire nation power level stuff. This wizard is very evil, but he spent literally decades building up this persona of him being compassionate when he's very clearly not. Kind of like Palpatine before Palpatine in the prequel series.
Gotcha.
And so you try to tell people, but you're a heretic. Almost no one goes with you, and you have to literally pal up with outlaws and other people who have nefarious means to slowly unravel and gain the evidence, all while you're being hunted. People don't trust you, and at the same time, because this nation that you're part of is also in like kind of Cold War or like
what is this? What is this related to? Where are we? Where is this relating?
I'm talking about like when your main characters and the characters in the story are trodden upon or beaten down, so that by the villain.
This is still in the
yeah.
So
I see.
The heroes and the villains.
So what's
But the thing is, we get it. We get it. You need to have your characters face things like serious challenges and whatnot.
Yes,
and there's all sorts of writers who do that properly. All throughout things. You know, there's bunches and bunches of
know one of them, Pag.
Would what?
Would you know
I would
writer
know one of
who's
them.
in it well?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do know one of them. Not to toot my own horn, but I think I did that.
Toot.
I mean the like main character of my first trilogy loses everything. Loses literally everything. And she gets an all right ending, but not a happy ending. And I think that's what makes her character interesting, is that she loses everything. That like it's a story of things being stripped away from her to find out who she really is at her core. And you can't ever do that with pretty much any character. If you don't have them go through hardship. Like, hardship is what shows you what a character is really made out of. And
do you perhaps
so
have a link so we can read this? Because
I forgot who said it, but there was a famous author, I forgot his name, but he said, your heroes should always have a good or beneficial ending, but never better off than where they started.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I wouldn't.
So, like, if your heroes are in a good place, like they got a loving family, all this, they can maybe get close to that, but they never get to that peaceful, innocent time they had before. Like, they're scarred in some way.
Well, they should be changed. Yeah, they should be a changed person.
Yeah,
Mother,
a hero or a protagonist.
what are you doing here?
But
I think they specifically said a hero.
Because hero is kind of a loaded word. But anyway, the issue that we run into with this specific, iteration of this game is the fact that they are focused on the wrong part of the process. They're so focused on getting the resolution to be so cool and have it be the way that they want that they don't focus on the things that build up and give it context, make it relevant to the audience.
They don't build the tension.
Yeah.
They're focused on the wrong place. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Which is a damn shame, because you need all of it. You need all the bits to make up, or no matter how cool your ending is, or no matter how cool your fight scene is, it just won't hit.
Right, chat.
The initial vision. Yeah.
Is this the mirror?
No, this is a compilation of all the cringe dialogue. Because we need to look into more than just the mirror. Now, Alfarius, don't you worry. I can't handle the bitrate chat. It's going to be kind of awful. I'm trying to mess around in the background. I got to go higher. So you're going to have to excuse it for a little bit to look at awful.
Oh, no.
The guests have the link to the Watch Together. Click it, and you can just go in.
Oh, I do have a link to the Watch Together?
I posted it in our council
I
chat.
think you just posted it.
Hey, I'll find
it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to be really hard to hear double everyone and this same time.
By the way, his Homestead Trilogy is linked in the description.
Yeah.
Sure is.
I promise that I'll be releasing several more books. I've got several written for next year. I just I'm getting them edited instead of editing them myself. And let me tell you, it's a much better time.
Oh God, Kunari Mother. She's like the most base character in this whole game.
All right.
So we need to give the chat a little bit of context here. Tash here is the character that you've heard all the horrible things about. Everything horrible you've heard about is definitely true, and it's going to be worse. So Tash here is the non-binary Kunari. I do not
non-binary.
I do not understand why. And this is going to be a very. This might get me canceled. This sentence. So just understand what I'm saying, chat. I don't understand why the most woke and the most liberal writers have an obsession with taking characters that are Islamic or inspired by Islamic settings and making them non-binary. You see this exact
like hyper-religious fanatics that
well,
are all
the
about
exact
the
same
conservatism
character
and the old ways.
in the new Vampire the Masquerade stuff. Except he's a dude and he's a non-binary. I want to say he's Algerian and he fights for gay rights and oppressed people as a Muslim. I'm not saying that's impossible, but it's very weird that is the character that they always pick to do this with. I do not think
they want
to. Huh?
They want to stack him all the way to the top of the victim hierarchy. That's the trick.
You know
you go all the way to the top.
And this character, Tosh, is like that too, because the Qunari are very much Islamic coded. They're supposed to be, for if Dez is out in chat, he'll get one off on this. They're the Ottoman Empire to the rest of the fantasy. If we're in a medieval fantasy, these are the scary Ottomans knocking on our doorstep, who are much more powerful, much more religiously codified, and much scarier than us. And it's a good thing the way they code it. They are inspired by these Islamic empires and the way they interact with like Christian kingdoms. It's awesome the way they have it here. But I don't know why, again, they took this character and this is what they want to do with it. So we're just going to watch one scene here just to get chat to know here's what's going on when we talk about the cringe dialogue.
You used to call me Tama. I also used to wet the bed. Want me to start?
Was like, lazily written.
We're watching.
The fact that they're using literally surface level like aesthetic things that have nothing to do with the character himself, his origins, his beliefs, his source material. Like you can just say, hey,
yep.
Like sorry, yeah, you like aesthetically. I'm sorry, fellas. But what I mean is that you can like say that a character is artificially, you just make him the aesthetic of a Muslim and you call him a Muslim, but then you don't have that be relevant to his character. You basically just make him a caricature of whatever you want to believe and just make the excuse. You make the excuse that like, oh no, maybe it's like, it's a failsafe for you. You try and like rage bait people and say, you can't criticize me because he's a Muslim, because he's diverse or this or that. That's another frustrating thing, and it makes them look lazy, and I think people have caught on to that at this point, which is why...
Have you seen the old meme of it's just like Latino people making Latinos like, hi, my name is Pablo. I like tacos. I live in Singapore. And then you have the other one where it's like actually made by people who are trying to do it. Like, give a shit. It's like, my name is Senor Francisco Alberto Torres Catano. I am here to kick your ass, or something like that.
Oh,
it's just sort of like,
you mean the meme like it's like a Latinx person makes a Hispanic and it's just the worst horrible art ever, and then it's like this actual Spanish person and like it's like the coolest Mexican shit ever.
Yeah, it's like based on like Mesoamerican drawings and stuff like that. Like Guacamole or something.
All right,
it's like some like the people decide to go, what was it, Guacamole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guacamole.
Yeah, thing,
let's not get too far off topic.
Okay, so let's listen to some of the cringe dialogue here so chat can understand how bad the writing in this game gets.
Mother.
Oh,
Mother. What are you doing here? You used to call me Tama. I also used to wet the bed. Want me to start that up again?
I'd rather you didn't.
Why are you so aggressive to your mom?
Fucking... Are you serious?
And just, yeah. And remember,
I'm sorry. So I'm sorry to your mother being like, oh, but you used to call me something else. Yeah, I can also start pissing myself. What do you want?
And it's not just that.
Which character is the character that you're playing?
No.
This guy right on the left there, the one who just looked at her and said, please don't pee in the bed anymore. And these are your options. By the way, this is an RPG. This is made by BioWare, classically known for having some of the best and most intense, like just the best ways dialogue options. You could do some awful stuff. I think the game with the worst dialogue choices in terms of what you can do would be Mass Effect, and that's still a 10 out of 10 in terms of what you can pull off. Mass Effect is great, but you're still playing Shepard no matter what you do. You can't be as evil as you can be like a KOTOR or Dragon Age. But
that's why
but
it
does enough. It definitely gives you enough.
Yeah.
In Mass Effect, you're like a off the cop. Like, okay, he's doing a lot of shady stuff, but it's for the good of everything. Look past that kind of stuff. It's like the ends are going to justify the means. Like, okay, he kicked a person out the window and punched a reporter. we'll deal with that later.
Yeah,
He doesn't straight up
you're
murder
allowed
people.
to do like
But-
in Dragon Age. You were always allowed to be the biggest. I'll say the biggest bastard in all those games. You could do some.
You can be a
terrible
genocidal
stuff.
maniac. It's great.
Yeah,
You can just
you
go,
could
I'm going to
wipe
kill him.
out. You could kill all the werewolves in the first game and all the elves just to get like a +1 to one of your stats. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Be a monster.
you just genocide both sides. Like, they're both horrible.
Yeah, I hate everybody, so I will kill everybody.
If there's no more people to wage the war, I have sufficiently stopped the war. I don't see
Exactly.
what the
I
I
stop
problem.
stopped this
option.
war and all wars
That's
ahead of
right.
time.
No man.
And now
No man,
in
no
this
problem.
game,
No more wars in the woods.
Yeah. This game has a worse dialogue wheel than Fallout 4. The joke in Fallout 4 is whenever you get a quest, you get to say yes sarcastically, no, but actually yes. Fallout 4 is jokingly called that, but there's actually times where you can refuse quests in Fallout 4. This game, it will just straight up overwrite your dialogue. I hope we get to see it right now. Well, all right, so let's see. Let's talk about bedwetting real quick. Let's finish this scene.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Not that it's my business. She's not in my...
She always did like the flustered ones. In truth,
Oh my God,
Evitash's
this dialogue
tastes
is
are
so
quite
bad.
varied.
Ew.
I have heard that you are
No.
bed. Are
No.
you actually interested in my daughter?
Wow, I can't believe you're interested in my daughter. She doesn't
What are your
usually
intentions
like
with my
men. Oh, we have 9 minutes of this.
What
What's
is
28
this?
seconds.
Bad dialogue.
It's just wait.
This-
You don't even know
yeah.
what this scene's not even over yet.
Although
folks.
it is uncommon for her to be attracted to
And
men.
it's delivered terribly too.
Perhaps
Like, there's nothing good about this. Like, it's bad dialogue, and it's delivered very like that's.
There
it's
is no
supposed to be a
variance
joke.
in how she is enunciating her pronunciation.
Yeah.
I want the scene to be done with, and after the scene, I'm going to explain to you
Okay,
again.
okay.
Skillup said something, and I want to steal it from him. It's the way the dialogue's delivered. I just want you guys listen and absorb the cringe.
because in some ways, she acts
Please.
more like a man herself.
Bruh.
What the fuck was that?
Seduction scene.
Yeah.
Language.
All right, hang on a second. I want you to understand. Skillup's point with this, and again, I'm giving him credit because this is a fantastic thing. He said the entire game is written and acted like the HR department is standing in the room watching you. How it feels.
Now, when you said that and you didn't raise your voice when you said that you should be proud, what did you mean by that?
Oh, guys,
Just-
this compilation here is going to be great. We're not going to watch the whole thing, maybe. I want to watch a couple things with you guys. You got to see this stuff.
Do
I
we
do
have the
not want to
mirror
watch this
scene?
scene, however.
You got.
Let me watch. Let me watch.
No, I don't. No, please don't.
I had big fingers. Used to take me forever.
Oh God!
What?
Sorry. She's
Hang on.
I'm sorry.
that
What was that figure context? What?
Yeah,
Was that
I
his
need
thing?
some context, please.
Hold up,
for that
back up,
is
what?
she's having trouble cutting melons.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Yeah, that's a
why
pretty
would
bad
big-
line
Why would
in
big
that
fingers get in the way of it? Just curl them up. Did no one ever teach you knife safety?
Yeah.
Hang on. What is she using? What is she using to cut the melons?
A knife.
A broad axe, apparently.
I like the
Um,
idea of her having like a giant pair of scissors.
Yeah, right. Like your fingers are getting stuck in the scissor hole. Like
Yeah, yeah. If you're using a giant pair of scissors, then that's a perfectly reasonable statement.
All right, so here you go. Your character asks, so you're uncomfortable with men, flirty.
like that.
nice. Hang on. No, hang on. Can I say this? The setting
No.
of this game is more or less I'm going to say it anyway. The setting is more or less like medieval fantasy with dragons and knights and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so this guy uses the vernacular of like late 2000s to early 2010s of she's just like that.
Ops.
Yes.
One of the characters says no
Dialogue,
cap
the
in
dialogue
this
is
game.
completely abandoned from
they-
origin.
No!
They actually
No!
Yes.
The-
They say no cap.
No, it's not in
That's
this
so-
compilation, but one of the characters I've seen people say that if you get them excited, she'll be like, no cap, let's go.
Yeah, no, it
God.
bothers me. It bothers me specifically because last night, as I was driving home last night, I got an ad when I go to listen to a YouTube video as I'm driving, hooked up to the aux. Very safe as I drive. But anyway, I hear an ad and the guy goes, he's talking about like, people that carry paper money still, even though credit cards are popular. And he goes, why is this even a thing? And I was like, did you pay somebody to write an ad? And what they came up with was, why is this even a thing? Like that's the best you can do. Like
And that shit back. It made me write it again.
This type of like this appeal to modern, I don't want to like call it like, unintelligent, because people can understand the context of what you're saying, but it totally just it ruins
degradation. It's trying to make yourself seem non-threatening, and that's the thing that a lot of modern people do, is instead of accepting that there's a little bit of inherent threateningness with any person who wants goals in life, they try to seem as non-threatening as possible. I know it's a cringe show, but Rick and Morty kind of hit the nail on the head with Jerry as a character. He's a perfect modern man because that's the way he acts, and he's just pathetic enough that nobody wants to deal with him. But he's actually just all ploying to be pathetic because he really has goals and aspirations. But Rick and Morty got horrible after season 2, so let's listen to some non-horrible dialogue. You ready, chat? We're gonna flirt with the non-binary.
Oh no,
we're not gonna.
So it's uncommon for you to be interested in men, but not unheard of.
Not unheard of.
Well, thanks for coming. And we should get back.
Thanks for having me along. Maybe we can do this again.
Was that a successful flirt?
Right?
Yes.
Yep.
That was a successful flirt.
Are the Canaries supposed to be like emotionless? Are they supposed to be like robots or something like that?
They are, but this character's not. They're supposed to be
you
like
still have
cats.
sensitive.
This character ain't.
You saw the way those eyebrows kind of wrinkled up in sympathy, bro.
Yep. Oh boy,
the Qunari are very much. They don't beat around the bush. They are very much. They will speak their mind and just speak the truth without any. I'm going to say manners, but
restraint.
As my friend,
but they have emotion.
They will tell you how they feel, and they tell you about a situation. They're to the point.
Yeah, as my friend from
but they have emotion.
They're the ultimate autists. They're the most autistic people. They just tell you what's going on. They don't want to play these games with this BS. Speaking of games and BS, you ready, chat? You ready for the next scene? You're not ready.
Are you trying to have sex with me?
Oh, wow.
Are you trying to have sex with me?
Wait.
It gets worse. So much worse. I've seen this one.
There has to be prior content, right? Like, just give me a yes or no and we'll play it.
This is when you walk into the room and you engage dialogue with her. How this conversation starts, and your character responds, "In my daydreams, this is where you lean over and slap me on the wall."
Dreams. This is where you lean over me
Very
and
realistic.
slap the wall.
Quick, think about us having sex.
No.
So now we need to figure out if it's Cashlock or Tomlock.
Oh no!
And those
I
are...
hate that first person.
Cashlock's just flirting. You look and make jokes and maybe think about him for fun. Tomlock is serious. Like you want to grab that and taste its neck right by the collarbone. So which is it?
Is it the Locktua? What is it?
Do you have to play a twink?
I don't think Qunari could spit fire.
Okay, so we'll get into the fire shouting thing in a second. It's stupid. We'll get into that in a second.
Well, mark me down as scared.
Scare roused.
Oh, boy.
So which one was serious? There was something about tasting the neck.
Tomlock.
That's maybe where I'm at.
Good. Me too.
Do you want to taste my neck?
Wait, who did they use for a model for this love interest? Was it Arnold? Like,
yeah, for real. And what do you have to play like a Twinkie dude who's just like, yeah, you know what, bite me? Like, can you choose to play another? Like, if you're gonna bang this creature, like, can you not choose? Oh, okay. You can't take the reins though in banging this in banging Arnie.
No,
Not done yet. By the way, we got more, boys. We got more.
I know.
Your mother said it was uncommon for you to be interested in men. I'm glad you're making an exception.
The bar's a little higher. You're good.
What happens now?
Usually I'd pin you to the wall, but we work together. It's weird. And fancy mage clothes.
Yeah, you get cocked.
Like, the first half of it wasn't terrible. That wasn't awful. But then it's just like, so what do we do now? And it's just like, You both take the shotgun, and you do this wonderful couples idea where one of you stands behind the other, and then the other pulls the trigger.
The first one is definitely bad. The first one is half is definitely bad. The first line was, "Are you trying to have sex with me?" It's literally the Alex Jones line. It starts out bad, and the train does not get back on the rails.
Are you trying to seduce me?
Terrible.
No, it doesn't get back on the rails, but I feel like it's at least like when you get to like, well, it's uncommon for men. It's like, okay, at least like it becomes less of like I am face planting and going down an entire hill, and more of like
to follow the conversational threads. Are you trying to have sex with me? Maybe. Really, if you want to have sex with me, here are the code words for yes and no. I thought you didn't like men. I do, for you. We should have sex right now, but you're my boss. Yes. Interruption. That's the flow of conversation. That's not how... I don't know if you've ever flirted with a lady before.
That's not how humans operate.
No, I have. It's probably just because I'm thinking of it with a stopping of like... I don't hate as like... In better context, if it's like they're kind of flirting, they're just like, I thought you said it was a bit uncommon for you to like men, and then she replies back, standards a bit higher, but I know how to pick them. Like something like that. That would be better, and it's at least a better starting point.
That's one thing. That's one thing.
The kernel is there. It's just they lit it on fire and threw it in the pile of poo poo.
You know what I haven't?
Go ahead, Pops.
You know what I got an issue with even more so though is the way that the scene ends. It's like there's no transition, there's no coherent segue between flirting, do you want to do such with me, and then they're flirting, pins him against a wall, and then immediately they're like, well, I got to go run errands. That was something that I noticed when I was looking at some of the leaked stuff from like other scenes of dialogue. There's so many instances where there's an intense character moment, there's some interaction and dialogue that is entirely focused on one topic, and then the other character will just kind of like straighten up and look around and just be like, well, see you, like out of nowhere.
Everybody's favorite tonal dissonance.
Well, it's like a Bethesda game where you talk to one of the random townies and they're like, oh god, I saw it, a vampire, it killed somebody, and you dialogue again, hello there, how are you today? You know, it's like Oblivion dialogue. It's fascinating. Like, again, Oblivion is 20 years old.
Oh.
It had random generated dialogue, essentially, for that characters would say. It makes sense why they would screw up in that. Because the game was so old that it was groundbreaking.
Well, they only had like 5 voice actors for all the people.
But
not just that.
But
this is a scripted scene. This isn't a random townie that pulls random dialogue from a pool.
Yeah.
This is, you wrote the scene like this. You chose how to end the scene.
These are in-game, like, relevant characters who affect the plot, and it's so
the whole game.
It's so disjointed that like you can't keep up with like what anyone's own like kind of plot thread to themselves or characterization is, because it's just like, oh, we got that done. All right, let's move on to the next mission. Okay.
And also, so like, in addition to that, there's also like the mystery of why they blocked the scene like they did, as in where the people are standing and what they're actually doing to one another. It's very strange how they put that together, because they like immediately accelerate to like physical intimacy with Tash leaning over and like biting that dude, and then they just separate and are just looking at one another and
back to
talk.
The neutral pose. Again, it's like a bad Bethesda game where they go back to the default animations, which is, again, we make fun of Bethesda games for that, but at least those are like cutscenes taking place in the open world, so the AI is trying to figure out how to stand there, not awkwardly. Like, again, it's funny when you try to talk to Serana and she's trying to sharpen a sword that she pulls out of nowhere, and you have to wait for her to stand up. We get it; it's a joke, but that's just the way the game's coded. It's a little bit janky. This is a cutscene. They have full control over every aspect of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
They didn't have to do that. They could have blocked it any other way. And how much more effort would it have been to block that scene that way? Like, they're already spending $80 gazillion on this thing. Put a little bit of pride into it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
How much do you think they actually spent on this game?
The white man.
I don't know too much about like aesthetic design and things like that. Like if there's like a quick transition from a character standing over you to standing back, like I don't care as long as the story's good and the dialogue makes sense that they're doing that. Like I can understand that they achieved that position, but the issue here is that in the words they're actually saying, going from line to line and then totally going to a different topic out of nowhere. It shows that, like, I feel like the people who are writing this, because I'm focused on the writing, not the like aesthetic stuff.
Yeah.
Is that they are so kind of like just out of touch with the audience. It's like they're in their own head going, okay, this is what they do, this is what they say, this is what happens next, we got to get to that, boom, 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 and then they do it, and there's no like, I guess you could call it revision, where like you look it over and you say, oh, it doesn't make sense that we transition immediately from A to B. That's what bothers me.
The delivery of
I do want to
the
say
whole
one thing,
collarbone.
guys. I agree with what Drake Boy 2000 in chat said. From Software did a better job with the voice actors. You didn't even know how bad it could be. Yeah. And again, I don't think these actors are bad. This is lack of direction. Watch this next scene where Tash is talking about. We'll talk to one of the wizards.
Because I like them.
You're barely even wearing a shirt.
You fight Anton with a bare midriff.
Everything all right?
We're fine. Just trading fashion tips. So what I wear is a problem for you?
It's not. It's just, why dress like that? Are you trying to make your mother happy?
I can't tell you, but the next one's going to be lower.
Tosh, what's going on? Something is clearly bothering you.
My bet's on mothers and dresses.
It's just something my mother said the other day. And I act more like a man than a woman.
And you feel like you should wear dresses to make her happy?
No. Can you imagine me in a dress? I'd look stupider than I'd look stupid.
Wait, can I get you again with the whole idea that the whole idea of going into this medieval dragon fantasy world is that it's escapism. You don't want to hear people use modern vernacular like, "Oh, you think I'm stupid?" It's like you should be engaged.
Why the Origins dialogue was amazing. Like
Here,
they
just
actually
a quick
consulted.
rewrite.
Like,
I just want to help boost Pop's point, just so chat can understand what Pops is getting at. She shouldn't say, "Oh God, I look stupid. It looks stupider than stupid." What she should be like is, "No, could you imagine me in a dress? I'd look like a fool, a damned fool at that." That's more fitting with something.
No, even that would be like, I think you should be like a more like a fair repelling. It should be, instead of saying a fool like me in a dress, it would be demeaning to my entire culture. I'm a warrior, not a maid.
Sure, but like in regards to that, just her saying like, you know, like the idea that I would look stupid in a dress. Again,
I'm stupid.
She should at least try to speak like modern in medieval times. You can do these if you want to have your non-binary story about this character who doesn't feel like she fits in the man and woman's role, and she wants to go against her gender norms of her society. If you could write that story and make it compelling to everybody, even people who don't normally like those stories, but you have to put in the effort. Doing what you're doing here, where this character's talking like they are like Shrek does, is not going to make me feel like, oh yeah, this is the storyline I need to follow. People make fun of Shrek because he talks like the modern day, but like that's the joke in Shrek. It's just the modern day. They even have Las Vegas and stuff. Like that's part of the aesthetic. Yeah. Dragon Age is not like that at all.
It's like, don't they try to pepper spray Puss in Boots, but they just get a pepper shaker and just get it in his eyes?
That's the joke.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it uses the modern aesthetic, but puts it in the context of medieval. So like, oh, what's pepper spray? Oh, it's a pepper shaker. It's a
shows called Guards. Like that's what you watch. You're like, oh, this is fun. I get what's going on here. This doesn't have that.
And also, that's a comedy.
Yes.
So
having get away with things.
Yeah.
Having looked it up, it looks like the estimated budget for this is $250 million and then $50 to $100 million on marketing. So this is the voice acting and the writing you're getting with $250 to $300 million spent on this. Yeah. I could do a better job of voice acting if I was like actively drunk and phoning it in at the same time. Like this is depressingly bad. This is so bad.
Just wait, we're not even done with the dresses yet. Let's hear about the Canary dresses, boys.
Do we have to?
Do we have to?
This isn't about the dress, is it?
I'm good. No, it's... I don't know. She always says stuff like that. About how I dress, how I act.
And?
It feels... right. When she says I act more like a man. It feels... right.
I'm sorry.
Why does it feel right?
Tosh, do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a woman.
That's happening.
Ah.
I'm sorry
what
for
is
the
a stupid
thing to say to women?
Forget I said anything.
Oh my god.
Ain't that so
If you don't want to
beautiful?
talk about it anymore, we won't. But whatever this is, this team is here for you.
I still don't know what this is.
Some of my friends in Minrathous talk about not feeling comfortable in their own skin. As a man, as a woman. I could see if they'd like to talk.
My friend.
Maybe what they say fits how you...
Dude,
Look at this goblin's face. Look at her face. Look at this side profile. What am I? Am I looking at a cut of the moon? Is this the man on the moon here? What the hell is going on?
You're gonna sing us away, boys.
before that,
Why did
Let
they
me-
make her look like a goblin? Is she supposed to be part
Lady
goblin?
with
Am
the
I-
horns and the skin and the thing, but not who you say you are. I can
He
help.
needs a giant cigar and like a bag of tricks.
Yeah.
I paused it.
Groucho
Yeah,
Marx
Pops,
mustache.
Let Pops go. Let Pops
So-
go.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pops.
Yeah, so my ultimate point of why I paused it was I wanted to ask the question because our playable character is the dude with the mohawk, right? Who's
Yes.
selecting
Yes.
the choices.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I haven't played the game. I haven't seen much else of the game. Is a dialogue choice like that even like consistent with his characterization?
So he's supposed to be you as a character. That's the idea with
Yeah.
him. But your choices don't actually matter for a lot of times. And we are not going to see
Well,
any in this compilation
tries
here.
to appease everybody. That's what he does.
Well, yes, he's very much a people pleaser. He's very much bends over for literally everybody. There'll be a scene later on. I don't know if it's not in this compilation. I didn't have time to pull it. But another compilation I saw, again, Skillup's channel. He shows it off in his review, which is great. He's talking to a Grey Warden. And the Grey Warden's just a jerk. He comes in and says, you know what we should do? We should execute you guys and, restart this whole thing. And, you guys suck. We need to take over immediately. You don't know what you're doing. And the Grey Warden, like, when he looks at you, your character will say, you could say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, or no, that's not right, or no. And the dialogue choice says, no, tell him he's a dick. So, like, oh, okay. So you click that. What did your character say? No, that's not right. I said, no, tell him he's a dick. Like, what do you mean? No, can you insult him? And another time, it's like there's another character who's being a hoity-toity, like rich guy, and one of the dialogue options is tell him how you really feel. And what you did, like, oh, let me click that. He says, I don't think you're being very nice.
What? That's how I really feel.
You're not being very, very, very cooperative right now.
Yeah.
And I think that you
And
should.
it's like, are you kidding me? In Dragon Age Origins, there's multiple dialogue options where it could be like, all right, kill his dog and his family now, just to see what happens.
And it tells you exactly, and it shows exactly what you will say. There's no difference. Like Dragon Age Origins, like what the text says is exactly what your character says. So you can see exactly, okay, who do I want to anger? What will this? And you can kind of do in the context. You have usually have anywhere from 3 to 8 options depending on the scenario.
Mhm.
But this one, it's like pulling out the Fallout 4, where what you click on is not what you say.
Yeah.
So now you're like, okay, so what's what?
And it gets even worse because, again, Fallout 4, like, I get it.
And it takes away from the
Yes, exactly.
It takes away from the RPG because you don't know what your character who's you is going to say because it doesn't tell you what you're going to say.
You got it exactly there, Pops.
Yep.
All right. Let's hit play again. Let's see some more about dresses.
You're feeling.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks. You do look really pretty.
Oh,
She does.
To look at. I
she
smudge
looked
your
like Shell,
makeup.
bro.
I'm a dragon.
Yeah, that should smudge her makeup. Just, great dialogue.
Slayer.
What does that mean?
Tosh.
Look at that face.
I'm a crappy Kunari. I'm not really Ravani. I'm no good as a daughter. I'm not even... I can't even be a woman right.
Oh my goodness.
I have to be a dragon slayer. I'm a dragon slayer. I'm a dragon slayer. So I'm
Are
non-binary.
you a dragon slayer? Oh my god, what's going on?
Do we
Shush!
Guys,
You missed the funniest cut!
Dragon slayer. I'm a dragon slayer. So I'm non-binary. Why did she do that? Is it because I didn't fit as a woman? Is it why I don't fit as a woman?
Tosh.
The shadow dragons say there are people who use they instead of he or she.
wait, hang on. I do want to give context before we catch Listen.
I'm a dragon slayer, guys. Oh.
That is a mighty
I don't
unibrow.
know. I think she has to say it 5 more times to really cement that she is.
Really
indeed
cement the fact that
pillar
she is a
dragon.
dragon slayer.
Has she
I don't
slayed a
know. I don't
dragon at
think
this
she
point
is.
in the story?
No,
I
I
don't
love
think she's a
how
dragon.
how your
I
main
think you're just
character,
reading.
90% of his dialogue is Tosh. But Tosh.
Ah,
She says her
Tosh.
name. She says some shit, and she says her name again. Oh, it's so good.
Tosh.
Oh, poor baby.
They're not
Why
men
the fuck
or
does she
women.
have a mewing
And
face?
I
Hold
like
the
how
fucking
it
fuck.
feels when I
Like,
imagine
how
myself
Do you
that
think
way.
that her jawline got like that?
Oh,
She mewed and edged.
language.
Well, there goes the monetization.
You could say there's no way that edged is flagged on YouTube. The term edged.
No,
is
the F word.
I'm not
It's not the
supposed to
issue.
breathe fire.
Oh,
Am I not supposed to feel like this?
All right, so there it is, chat. This is an important detail. They added a brand new piece of Kunari lore. Zoog, I hope you have your puke bucket nearby. So, we always wonder what Kunari are. Kunari, turns out, are actually part Dragonborn. Congratulations, chat. It's exactly what you wanted to know. 1 in every 1,000 Kunari can breathe fire. So that's what her spitting into the bucket was. The Kunaris who do this are supposed to be executed on sight because they're so horrible.
Okay.
yeah.
So-
Stunning and brave, right?
So even let's theorize hypothetically by some random miracle this woman breathed fire as a baby. Her mom smacked her on the back and she burped up fire and nobody killed her. And she met this guy who more or less I think we could expect might be aware of that since he's associating with them. And she breathes fire and he doesn't freak out. Like there's nothing about this that I think makes sense in the entire world of the game.
Is it supposed
That
to be
would make-
well known
that would
among the
make,
other races?
Intimate relationships very difficult.
Nobody
if
knows
they have
anything about it.
go light the fire.
Also,
Why are the Kunari just part dragon? That wasn't.
well,
Sorry.
they want to have her breathe fire.
She's spitting because
They
you
are
know
just
why?
tieflings,
You know,
then.
do you know why? There's a joke later on where the character says she's spitting straight fire.
You're kidding.
Are you? No.
That's not in this compilation, but I was told by people when I was asking around on the other Discord that yes, that's the line in this game.
I'm
No,
going to
wonder
look
if
up
I'm
in later.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
I hate
we're,
it.
We're going to continue with the dialogue though.
What does she want me to be?
She wants you to be gay, do crime.
Oh no, just you wait. Just you wait.
Make more
What do
dragon
you
babies.
want to be? Your mother brought you to Ravane for a better life.
I know.
So live it. Be who you are. Don't tie yourself down for someone else's fear.
I'm in physical pain right now.
I want to be. No. I am Ravani. And I'm not the daughter my mother wanted. That Tosh, she was never really me.
Who is the real Tosh?
She is. They are. Not a woman.
Yo, we get it.
Or a man.
Oh my goodness.
Shadow dragons had some fancy terms, but using they and knowing that, it feels good.
Sounds like a good start.
Okay?
Let me hang on. So in the Kitani culture, are there women and men?
In the what?
Yeah.
They
Good, I
have,
hate
chronic-
you. Why'd you bring me here?
do they have do they have genders in their culture?
It is more than
Yes.
that. They are the hypergender role society. Women are literally only allowed to be nurses, breeders, and teachers, and like they are like super gender rolled.
Yeah.
In fact, in the Kunari culture, this is something that it's really funny. Sten, when you meet him in the first game, Sten's not actually his name. Sten is his job title. Because his job is lieutenant. So you're dealing with lieutenant the whole time. No Kunari tells you their name, they tell you their job, because their job is more important than anything else in society.
Their role in their job is key more than anything else.
Yeah.
More than their life, more than their gender, more than their anything. Because their title and their job is what they excel at, and they will push themselves to be the best what they can at that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So
Their name was only for personal use, for among close friends and family.
like that. Yeah, that plays into the
The
entire
reason
thing.
Iron Bull uses his name is because he's a pirate. He's basically an outcast.
Yeah,
he
left
has
the society,
rejected
he
the
specifically
Qunari
rebelled
culture.
against it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but Iron Bull was popular, so now we have to have Cringe Bull here. Let's continue. So Garble,
Exactly.
Garble wants to show us stats soon, boys.
Bye.
I will
Thank
want
you.
to show you stats.
Thanks for coming.
She used she. You haven't told her yet.
I was going to. Then we got here and she was like that.
You should be able to be yourself around her. Hey, you get to be who you are.
I know.
You go, girl. Queen out. Or
Queen
go,
out.
I'll tell her.
them.
When you're ready.
Non-specific
terms.
monarch out.
Oh, when you
Thanks.
go, they.
Trophy from the Fang Scorcher?
She was a good fight. You gonna whine and complain every time we hunt a dragon?
Like, how's that a complaint and whining? Because that's when you feel a trophy.
for real.
I'd love to tell
I
you
wouldn't
no,
like-
but realistically... at least I'm being
But
honest.
realistically, I'm a tiny little baby bitch boy.
When you were standing over the dragon, you said something.
Yeah, same.
Chakra Toeb. It's the same thing your mother told you.
You must struggle with what you are. It's what she told me when I was a kid. Still does. So I don't want the dragon out.
Meaning your fire breath?
Mother.
Pops, you started it. Dang it.
Pops, how
For
could you
like
have done
6
this?
minutes.
To let yourself feel things instead of locking them down.
Just like that?
I was in the middle of something.
Rage.
We were about at
We're
the what?
Still
6,
does. So I don't want the
20
dragon
something
out.
Like,
Meaning your
We're
fire
8
We're there.
minutes.
breath?
It's not just
Yeah, I
about
would-
the fire. It's about how stuff makes me feel. What I do
You
when
gotta talk
I'm
about
angry.
feelings.
They're gonna make a whole line.
I've seen you angry. You're fine.
No, I'm not. I can get
Alright, fellas, sorry about
This-
that. I'm caught up.
rage.
Can I pause real
Where-
quick, kid?
Yes.
No.
No. Play it.
I
Shut
just
up.
have to break something, and I can get stuck in argument.
I'm sorry, man. What did you want to say? I'm fucking.
Well, it's just the very unnaturalness of the dialogue of like, we have to be very blunt with this. We can't have any sort of subtlety of just like I don't know, talk about how
Every
she's like,
character walks up to you and tells you exactly how they feel. It's horrible.
yeah, it's
You'll interact.
it's the combination of we have to talk about our feelings in addition to not like there's no nuance there of like her trying to explain how everything works. It's just like I get angry and I like to
This
break
is great
things, and
dialogue,
also I
though.
feel like I'm not a woman, but also possibly a man.
Yeah, they're showing, they're not telling. It's a thing
This
that they
cringe
tell
dialogue
to
reminds me
writers
of,
all the time.
Guys, after this thing's done, as Garble pulls up the stats, I'm
Maybe the
gonna try to find another scene. It's so bad.
Arguments, needing things to be a certain way. The Antam would have turned me into a berserker, breathing fire across the battlefield, killing anything in my way. I don't want to be that.
Can we get you that version? Because that sounds much funner.
Yeah, that sounds much cooler.
Yes.
This is like a
So don't
dollar
they-
store version of the Tiefling.
Just like that?
You
Yeah.
mean Karlak?
Just like that.
Karlak. Yeah, this is a
You
dollar
You
store.
are
equivalent.
Ravani. You have the
this
freedom
guy's
to let yourself feel things instead of locking them down. I mean, we just killed a dragon thanks to
you
you.
could have been
How
Oppenheimer,
hard can
man.
anything else be after that?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Think I'm ready to talk to my mother about who I really am. Still a stupid name.
Wait.
Dragon King. Dragons wouldn't have kings. They'd have queens.
What?
Why do you care?
What?
What is this stupid like feminism hurrah thing from a character who's not even a woman?
Dragons are queens. Every dragon is a queen.
Every dragon's queen.
They wouldn't.
God, this. I can probably think of like it's not spoken dialogue, thank God. But there's a game called Timekeeper. It's actually a pretty decent 2D Metroidvania, but oh god, the dialogue is so horrible. You will literally find these characters. You'll have 2 interactions with them. Like you find them, do a side quest, and they will literally just start talking to you about their sexuality. Like, what? I just met you. What are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't.
literally just fall in love
I'm
with the 3
dumping
interactions.
something.
Like, okay, we talked to you 3 times, and now you want to bone me. What? Who are you?
Let me
Whole thing.
because that final line really bothered me. But I'm aware of some animals who have strange practices, obviously. So dragons, right? The females still lay the eggs, is there anything to suggest with the dragon species in this game universe that the males will be the ones to lay on the eggs and sit on them, and the females are bigger and stronger, as we see with like ratites, like emus and ostriches?
No, in Dragon Age, the dragons are kind of like they're not. There's some differences between them, but like they're not like some are bigger, some are smaller. Like it depends on their power scale. So you can have smaller males that are weaker and females that are stronger, but if they're both the same strength, they'll be basically the same size.
Are we used to dragons
growing like a lobster in a big cage?
Do dragons have gender role dragons, bro? Really?
Most of the dragons in Dragon Age are just animalistic creatures.
Right. Yeah. It's absurd. Why would you even introduce that? For what?
Do you think they did?
Because it's just a stupid like feminism harabo when it's like in the Avengers moment with all the female heroes. It's just like a you go girl, queen out, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm sure our main
dragon queens.
And I mean, with like such fantastic dialogue and such thrilling gameplay, the numbers on how much it's selling have to be like through the roof, right?
I'm sure.
One last thing I want to tell chat. So chat, and you're not ready for this. I don't have a clip for it, but if you want to see it, Skillup covers it in detail in his video. There is a thing in BioWare games where when you start befriending your followers, you have to do a quest for them or two. This locks them in as like super good friend mode, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rex and his ancestors' armor is a key example.
Yes. You guys aren't ready for this. After the first act is done, all the characters sit around complaining about how difficult it is. And you're at a table and they're like, things would be a lot easier if we just didn't have all these extra things on our mind. Yeah, we have all these problems that we should probably figure out. Rook, if you help us with these problems, we'll be better at fighting for you.
Player, if you help us out with mandatory quest line, then we will become stronger.
I will level up.
It hurts so bad. Why would you do this? Why?
I think they're just really bad writers. I think they spent $250 million on like cocaine, and then they were like, "Oh my god, we have to make a game, guys!" And this is it. This is the last $83 worth of money.
Yeah,
83.
Yep.
I disagree because cocaine can make you make a pretty good story. I'm not speaking.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I think cocaine is a more useful drug than whatever they're taking. Antidepressants.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You might have a point.
All right.
They're taking
the statistics.
All right, chat. Give me a second. Yeah, sorry. I'm just...
Trash. This isn't the Molly Sister. We're not the protector.
Yeah. All right, chat. I'm going to... Yeah, those are 40 slip. I'm going to get us set up for Garbled.
Yep. You ready for me, dog?
Okay, no, yep. I was mistaken on the dragons. Apparently, the male dragons don't ever get the wings.
Am I in?
They can be just as strong and powerful.
You should be good.
Are we in?
You gotta have to start live streaming
before I start going forward,
sir.
That was painful.
I need you to live stream so I can click to you on your thing. So I can
live stream.
Or share your screen. Aren't you sharing?
Oh,
your screen?
I'm stupid. I'm stupid. There we go. Are we good now?
We should be good. Presentation of media.
I keep on forgetting that I have to do that.
You'll never.
I want to make sure that it's good on the screen before I start doing my stuff, though.
Oh my god, do you have a little VTuber avatar? Is that?
Perhaps.
Dang.
Perhaps.
What are my eyes telling me?
What are your eyes telling you? That is a fantastic question.
Come on.
What do you mean?
Hang on a second.
Wait, what? It did?
Why did you use me as the model for your VTuber, bro?
What do you mean I used you? This is my avatar. Wait, what do you think I used?
Look,
what do you think I used?
Many selfies.
That's what I look like.
You know, it's fine. It's fine. So, you guys want to have a nice little math lesson of how things work. So currently, if we look at Dragon Age the Veilguard, this is the current thing that it has right now. It peaked at a roughly 90,000 players, and it's currently sitting about 4,700. Roughly, like, peaking at 53,000. So that is not bad if you do not consider how big this game is. Like, if this was something a lot more indie project, like, it'd be fantastic. So, are there any other like big releases in RPGs that you guys can think of that maybe happened in like the past year or so?
Well, I can read
last year?
at the top. This is Baldur's Gate 3.
Thank you, Pags, for
Tag chat can't read that part. That was cut off.
Oh, okay.
There you go. All right. Well, if we go over to the Steam database real quick, just to show you, we have Baldur's Gate 3 is here. Above Dragon Age the Veilguard. And if we go look at Baldur's Gate 3, it peaked at nearly 900,000. So, pretty good. It peaked at 900,000.
What?
I wonder what the going at about.
Hang on, before you go
55,000.
Yeah, before you go further, this is the most important metric in the world. This is the one that EA is looking at, because the top reviews, all of them, for Baldur's Gate 3 said, this feels like Dragon Age Origins. This is the Dragon Age game we've been missing. If every single review I've seen that has got any salt from any gamer who's above the age of 12 has said that. This is the new Dragon Age Origins. I can't wait for the next Dragon Age game. This is going to be it. This is the game that they were trying to at least get in the ballpark of. I get it, it's D&D, but D&D has nothing on Dragon Age. Dragon Age was way bigger as a game for a while. Larian has no shot compared to this. This was BioWare's first game in 10 years back to a story-driven RPG in Dragon Age. They could not have set themselves up for a bigger success, and they missed the mark so hard.
The fans were rabid for anything, especially with the cliffhanger of Inquisition that left it high and dry, and people blue-balled for 10 years, wanting some epic conclusion to kicking Bolus's...
Well, in a manner of speaking, this is an epic conclusion. It's,
sure is.
Epic.
But I know. It's epically horrible. I know.
In a meta sense,
you know what the funny thing is?
Go ahead.
Is that if we look at the date of when Baldur's Gate was released, it was released 15 months ago. This is not Baldur's Gate at its peak. This is a year and some change when it's running off of fumes functionally.
5,000.
And it's still beating out Veilguard. It's that good.
Also, budget of only about $100 million. Compared to $250 million for this steaming pile of fetid shite.
And we know
not to mention,
only
was by fans, not by...
It's so bad.
Hang on a second, this is important. Baldur's Gate had to pay between 30 to 50 million of that for the rights to use D&D.
Shoot, man.
So they had to pay that much
just that.
So
money well...
I mean, Larian had the money between Infinity 1 and 2.
Money well spent, isn't it?
Money well spent, would you say? Yeah.
Money well spent.
Baldur's Gate 3
Baldur's Gate 3 completely revitalized D&D to the point that it brought normies in, and it was horrible, but still.
That it did.
But still. Baldur's Gate 3 is fantastic. It is a fantastic
It is the benchmark of all big AAA RPGs will have to measure against.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Baldur's Gate 3 made more money for D&D than the last 3 D&D books before the relaunch. Combined.
There you go, fella.
That's why it's like it didn't make a scratch in what Baldur's Gate 3 gave them, because remember they had to pay that much money, and then for revenue sharing, D&D got like 5 or 10%. Baldur's Gate was a line item in Hasbro's overall funding, not D&D, not Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro. That should tell you just how much money Baldur's Gate made for them. That single-handedly saved D&D as an IP. And this is what Dragon Age could have done. This is how starved the market is for this game. I don't even think Baldur's Gate 3 was the pinnacle of what like a Dragon Age game could have been. It was very much held back by a lot of the D&D isms that were going on with the way D&D
well, because it's using 5th edition.
And all that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why this game is like, it's like if you announce it as a comeback, it's like insulting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
this game sold
compare this to
700,000 copies.
This should have been like a what-if spinoff to try to test the waters. Like, okay, here's what's going on over here while the Inquisitor's doing this. So, like, okay, we'll test the waters and see how this goes, and go, okay, this is like a side quill kind of thing. And then, depending on how big it gets, then you make the actual sequel to Inquisition, where you're the Inquisitor going at the Volus. You know, you see it's a fan. The fan rabbiness is still there.
On
Veilguard should have been
Steam,
like a cycle thing.
this thing has only made like $50 million back on Steam.
There's its pre-order skill upset that I want to share in a second. Once Garble's done with the presentation.
Yeah, well, the only two comparisons I want to make real quick are just that this is starting at an all-time peak of about 90,000. There's another really big RPG that failed recently in Starfield, and that started at 330,000. How bad do you think it's going to get for Dragon Age? My bet, absolutely awful.
Yeah, for real. Like, I doubt that Dragon Age has the replayability of Starfield.
Yeah. Is this even like... I'm trying to figure out like the equation. Like,
game. Dragon Age is a bad game.
It goes players right now.
Yeah.
So all-time peak is just they're at forever peak. So when you want to work at comparative numbers to numbers, it's 24-hour peak.
Yeah. But like the reason why I'm bringing this up is just because like this is massive compared to how much Dragon Age got.
Oh yeah,
absolutely massive, and this is already on the downswing by like a very large margin.
Yeah, check back in 6 months, and it's going to be 48 players.
I want you in chat to remember, Starfield just launched a huge DLC. The thing that fixed the game. They added cars to the game. They added a whole new faction system and everything. This is the DLC that was supposed to revitalize it, and they barely got above 5,000. How do you think Dragon Age is going to do?
This game is just because I know that some people were saying like, "Oh no, it'll be fine," because like it's topping the Steam charts, and that means that it's very good. Look what happened here.
Topping the Steam charts, I think, just means like you break 1,000. That's it.
Yeah. I think, and just as like one final point of comparison, just Deadlock. I have been loving this game way too much. But also, this was 2 months ago, had no marketing, and still getting around, like, it's currently on the downswing, but, like, it's getting around, like, 52,000 players.
Just so you know, Deadlock is invite only, and it's outperforming.
Yes! And it's still in development, and it's doing that well.
It's an invite only early access squad hero shooter. I cannot think of words until it says survival crafting. That's everything in that game sounds horrible, and like everybody should stay away from it. And it is still outperforming Dragon Age.
Yeah, the level of flop that this is like, it's frightening. Like this is, I don't know. There's going to be another Dragon Age game. I think that this might be the end.
Comparative, like,
probably will be.
I'm pulling up Steam right now, and so if I go to top sellers. Remove not including like I'll include things in my item library in case and have anything. But right now, you have Planet Coaster 2. It has about 800 reviews. You have Veilguard, Baldur's Gate 3, Mirthwood, which looks like some kind of like farming sim, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Splinter's Revenge, Cyberpunk 2077, Factoria, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, New World Arthenem, and Web Fishing. So Web Fishing is 10th of the top selling games right now. Top selling on Steam doesn't mean anything.
No, hang on. So if Web Fishing's there, Veilguard's not.
I'm looking at mine. I'll reload.
Yeah, no, I'm saying. Veilguard wasn't on your list, was it?
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the new BioWare RPG should be on top of. When the new BioWare RPG drops.
And not just like top 10, it should be top of the top, like top 3.
It should be burying everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if I go to new and trending, Metal Slug Tactics is up there. Hard Coded is up there.
When did this come out? It was just
I
like
don't
2
have
weeks
any
ago, right?
restrictions on my thing.
I don't think it was. No, it wasn't even a week.
Was there too? So
it came out a week ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not even. Oh my goodness gracious!
So, now,
this thing is a violent failure.
All right, so there's another guy I want to talk about.
I'm gonna stop streaming then.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to switch back to our regularly scheduled watching Solus get beat up by a character we don't care about.
As we should be.
Give me a second, chat. Let me get my
the big bad elven god made manifest. who can control the Veil and the Fade at the same time and fuse them together. Who is literally a global threat, not to a threat to a nation, like the entire world. So much so that your Inquisitor band of heroes couldn't stop him, and you're like powerhouse. You're like level 20 in D&D terms.
Also like level 70. All right, so here. I want to note that Eddie Mon TV, he did another great breakdown of what's going on with BioWare Veilguard and the sales numbers. He had he's gotten several leaks from industry insiders. So one of the people that he that leaked stuff to him works for, like, how do I put this? Like people who sell and box games.
What
so
was
he
that
doesn't
face?
Huh?
That face that dude made was
sorry. So he works for the company. Like he gets the insider for that. He said that Dragon Age Veilguard had horrible pre-orders. It only had 115,000 pre-orders. Just for perspective, Cyberpunk, which is the game that he said had a similar budget to this, which sounds about right to me, had 700,000 pre-orders. And Dragon Age Inquisition lost 15% of all its pre-orders. So it had 115,000, and then 15% of them said, "Nah, take it back. I've seen enough." That's pre-orders. You know, that means they already were so excited they gave you the money and were ready to pay the game. 15% of the people went out of their way to say, "No, I want the money back. Keep the game. It ain't worth it."
Yeah, they saw something that they didn't like, and they didn't
even get the game in their hands yet, and they were already giving up because they realized this is how much of a travesty this is.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's very difficult to swallow how much of just a flop this is. Do you think this might sink? Like I don't know that it'll sink. You think so?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Anthem was a huge flop.
Between this, Anthem, and Andromeda, they're done.
Andromeda undersold dramatically, so it kind of ruined Mass Effect for a while. And then it's like, oh, well, we ruined it because we wanted to make Anthem good. And then Anthem was awful. So it's like, okay, well, we ruined Anthem because we didn't know what we were doing. So we're back to Dragon Age. It's an IP we own. It's a franchise we love. It's a rabid fan base. Everything was stacked up for success. EA was looking at this like, all right, you're going to print us money? Yeah, a cliffhanger storyline for a fan base that still, to this day, talks about the franchise. You had everything going for you. And Inquisition is not even that good of a game. It's like a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's fine. So you could easily make the next game and blow it out of the water. It's not hard to make a better game than the last game you made for these guys. It really isn't that difficult. And they somehow underperformed this much.
Well, let's be honest here. The teams who made Inquisition are not there. Just like the teams who made Origins weren't there when Inquisition was made.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, like, new creative talent should be able to make something that's not the worst product you've ever seen. Like, a literal Infinity
That's the moniker you're missing. Talent.
But
they
why
don't have it.
Why would you hire somebody?
Yeah.
Why would you hire somebody
people to tick boxes to look like, look at us, we're progressive, we're representation, and we're doing this. Give us money, please, and funding. They don't hire people with talent.
So
they hire people
I'm certain that you probably could find some of these people, some checkboxes, who are talented. I think that you could. You have $250 million. Like, there's a bazillion people.
It's not about diversity.
Neil Gaiman is one of the most
diversity of skin color and thought.
Neil Gaiman inserts a lot of LGBT stuff into his settings, a lot of liberal ideology into his stuff. Sandman has got all these gay characters that didn't really exist in DC beforehand. And he just did that, and it's great because Neil Gaiman knows how to write stories. American Gods has multiple characters of minorities and stuff. It's great because
he doesn't push agendas.
Oh, they're characters first and foremost.
Yeah, their characters for that who they are is more important than what they are.
Yes.
That's how he writes it.
I just don't understand
what they're doing with the DEI programs. They're hiring people. They're not hiring people to make good people who they are. It's what they are. Oh, they're gay. They're trans. They're black. They're this. And yeah, they can hire people who check those boxes and have talent. But the thing is, they don't have the right political ideologies and genders they want to push. That's why they don't hire them.
So you think they're scoping down so hard on this nonsense that they literally cannot find even one good
it's
guy?
Surface level diversity, but not diversity. It's not diversity of thought. There's no conflict. It's like everyone's here, everyone's progressive.
The issue is like surface level, where it's like, you're hiring people because they check off these boxes, rather than you're hiring people who are capable of actually writing characters who can coherently check off those boxes and be good. Like there's plenty of like movies, TV, especially books, like stuff that I like, where there are characters who are, divergent from the norm, diverse, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, it's good because the story itself is good. You're not doing it because the character, or you're not allowing that to become popular because the person who created it checks off those boxes. No, you're representing it in an accurate way.
Not pushing agenda.
Example I to because it's a great outlier, because it's dead to rights should be the worst piece of media to ever exist, is Arcane. Arcane is the League of Legends TV show. I cannot think of something that would make me vomit more than that sentence. Yet Arcane Season 1 is great. I haven't seen Season 2 yet. It's coming out very soon, like a few weeks, I think.
I mean, I didn't watch Arcane just because I don't like League of Legends at all, and they can all just burn. But I've heard good things about it. I know, it's League of Legends, so I'm not going to lie.
Several of the characters in the show are gay. There's clearly one who's set up.
I don't care about that. I just hate League.
No, that's fine. You're allowed
I just hate League. That's all.
That's fine. But it's just like, I'm telling you, like, this show should be awful. It's a story about two sisters, and one of them's gay, and it's all, and one's got pink hair. It's like, oh, I know where this is going. But no, they wrote the show incredibly well, and it's actually enjoyable to watch. And you sit looking like, how did you
League
guys
actually used to have some good story to it, and he just retconned it to mishmash. That's why I thought that's why everyone thought like the show would be horrible, because their lore started off good. Then it's like, we're just gonna go wherever we damn well please. The sky and the crater's the limit.
Point though, they're starting at a negative. League of Legends and the entire ecosystem they had there with Arcane.
They're already in the crater.
Yeah. How can you, Dragon Age, start at like the top of the ladder and jump off of it so profoundly? All you had to do was
nosedive into concrete.
Nosedive right into the crater.
Yeah.
Man.
It's just a shame. Just a damn shame. Like, come on. We could have had something really nice, and yet they just shot themselves and all of us directly in the
and
test.
I want you guys chat to know just how bad this game is. Zook, this is probably going to make you really mad too, Zook. Just to prove how terrible of a company this is and how stupid everybody involved with this situation was. They made a thing a few years ago called Dragon Age Keep. So throughout all BioWare's games, the cool thing is you could transfer your saves across all their games, and like your choices would carry over. This was probably the coolest thing that they did. And for Dragon Age, they said, well, shoot, guys, we put the games across 3 different console generations.
Oh, I know. They did like the little storybook thing.
Yes. So then they made a free online program called Dragon Age Keep. When you go on there, it'll scan your save files and upload them, or you can manually go through and make every single choice. In fact, they even added choices for the first game that were glitched out that you couldn't actually make, to make sure you had the correct choices. And it would allow you to have, when you got to Dragon Age 2, it would say, we're connecting to the live service. We connect to it, scan your save, boom. Now we go through, it did restart the gameplay footage pops. Then we go through Dragon Age 3, it does the same thing. That way, no matter what happens, your story is permanently on there. They scrapped it and threw it out for this one because it was too difficult to program.
And then they give you this rook who's got nothing to do with any of the rest of the lore at all.
Yeah, but
they bring Varric, who doesn't really have a huge connection to Volos. Like, yeah, he was a companion, but he's more like in line with Hawk, not the Inquisitor. No, Varric's just kind of there because, well, fan service.
Just like, I'm looking at this.
Yeah, no,
how did you get rid of that? You had the tool. Companies would die for this, because here's the thing about the Dragon Age, the tool that they had there with the name just slipped my mind.
Dragon Age Keep.
Keep. The thing about Keep is it is a perfect thing. Chat. It's a marketing tool. You get to record completely live, completely accurate research of what choices players make. You know what characters they wanted to romance. You know who they wanted to be friends with. You can have a perfectly tailored story to know, hey, looks
You
like
know what
nobody
races
gave
and classes
absolute
they pick.
crap about Shale and Win. So guess what? We're going to spend no resources on them and putting them in the game. Instead, Alistair was incredibly popular. Awesome. Wow, he's way more popular than we thought he would be. Let's make sure he shows up in Dragon Age 2. They spend the resources to give the choices that most players did, the choices that most players engaged with, a lot of choice. It's marketing and research out the butt, and it allows players to have this story that they feel like goes throughout all these games. It's been 50
It's like their
years.
choices as a player base is changing the world as it's being developed.
Yeah. And you could even just say, hey, guys, we have to make a choice for certain events. We have, so we just went to Dragon Age Keep, and we picked whatever the most popular one is. If there's a choice that they wrote themselves into a corner with, which they didn't,
and they could even
way.
say, they could even have like, hey, this is the choices players choose. Are you okay with this? We'll have another poll and see if that's really what people want. Because it doesn't probably take in replay value at the same time. Because some people pick Alistair over and over again because he's such a good character, and he's also really good mechanically.
Yeah.
So it's like that
going to be like natural variance that appears because, like, oh well, I just enjoy playing with this character because he's strong.
Exactly. So they could make an actual poll, 1 account, 1 vote. Who do you really want to be in here? Not based on mechanics, not based upon armor, like their characters.
Well, you can't trust that they're going to always do it by mechanics.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got
it. Oh, well, the reason why I like
already
them so much is because
the first time to do this thing, and it's like it exists. It's a great fan hub. You have everything you wanted here. You stupid jerks. You had all the fans can go here. You could turn it into a bit of a social media thing. You got people tweeting. It's all linked there. You tied their accounts there. You could get market research on what consoles people are on. You had everything. You're most dedicated to hardcore fans. And you
already had, like you said, they already had the tools. They didn't have to make it again. It was already there. They just had to dust it off.
This is the game you threw it away for. This is the game you decided, nah, fam, we're going to restart from here. This was it. There's no choices in this game.
Well, on the upside, they aren't going to do it again.
Yeah.
They can only play this. They can only shit this rabbit out once.
I don't know. EA's got a lot of money to burn.
I don't think EA wants to burn this. EA doesn't like first person, like single player games anyway. This is a single player game that flopped. Oh no, they're just done.
Yeah,
right. I mean, and this is 3 failures in a row because I don't think Andromeda did well either, did it?
No, Andromeda, Anthem, and this all failed horribly.
Yeah,
I would say probably
two underperformers and then an absolute massive bomb. Yeah, that's it. EA's gonna be like, man, I don't think you guys need the money that we've got.
I know I'm doing like dream state here and it's like wishing for the best, but I think if they do sell off this property, I hope Larian grabs it up immediately because they could do some crazy stuff.
They just sit on like a dragon. But I agree completely.
Yeah, I know. That's why I completely support copyright laws only being 25 years after publication. After that, it's free game for everyone. I can understand.
I think 25 years is back in decently fair. Yeah.
Well, I can understand copyright laws back in like the 1800s because there was no telecommunications really. So I can understand like it takes your entire lifetime to do something, but in today where information is instantaneous, like someone could be watching in South Korea right now, and we're all in America. I think.
By the way, hello, I do have 1% of my viewers are from South Korea. So
okay, there you go. Perfect. There you go. Perfect analogy. I didn't even know that. But yes, so in this day and age, if you can't sell something like a media online in 25 years, that's on you not being able to sell it. It should be able to go to other people then so they can try it.
Yeah.
Like you had 2.5 decades. You can do that in this day and age. There's no like, oh, I got to get the newspaper ad. I got to drive here. I got to give it to this sales. No, you put it on YouTube and bam, millions of people can watch it instantaneously.
I mean, yeah, 25 years seems pretty fair.
You can partner up with VTubers and personalities and sell it even more.
Isn't that what they did with Sonic Frontiers?
Probably. Anyway, so I think we kind of got to wrap this up because kids got somewhere else to be.
I do.
You got anything
else? Play with Nebula soon. I do want to say one last thing here, chat. This one hurts a lot personally. Origins is
same.
probably my favorite fantasy game of all time. It
Shoot.
really spoke to me a lot as a kid when it came out, and it helped define my, I don't want to say kid, the young adult, but it really helped define my taste in fantasy, because I love Tolkien. Tolkien's the GOAT. He's the best books ever. But going through and just having this darker fantasy that wasn't just needlessly edgy was something that really made you consider some stuff. Really just invigorated and made me reconsider the power of fantasy.
It felt like a real world. Like it felt like it was grounded.
And consequences is the other thing. It gave you choices.
Oh, yeah.
It made you have decisions. It made you realize black and white could be
You're not going to save
morality.
everyone.
You can still have good people in a world of black and white morals, and it helped me go back and look into more fantasy stuff. And I would say Origins is the game the best fantasy game for me of all time, the most important I ever played. And it bothers me that Dragon Age has been so poorly served after that. A great setting that's just gone nowhere. And it hurts me personally a lot. This is
I can understand.
Well,
it sucks watching the
thing is,
franchise die.
I mean, these guys, they'll perish, and Dragon Age probably not going to have another entry. But there'll be something else that'll come along. You know, people have been telling stories since there've been people, so you'll still get good stories, like Baldur's Gate 3. You know, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty good game.
It's like it might because Baldur's Gate 3 took like what 20, I think almost 30 years to get a new edition. So it might be like maybe a hot decade, but there might come a time where somebody goes, okay.
You're not wrong. It's just funny to say, like, I don't know, it might be like, I don't know, a couple few years.
No, look, guys. Don't be just like doomers. Like the Witcher came out. Witcher and Witcher 2 are fantastic RPGs. Cyberpunk's a good RPG. There's good things come out. Like there's good things. It sucks that something like this has perished and in so ignominious a fashion. But it's something else is going to come along and be much better than it.
I think if a good enough studio comes along, like
you ready for it?
Oh yeah.
Like I really wouldn't push it past Larry and going, we did really great work with D&D. Let's see if we can do something good with Dragon Age.
They're not doing that. They're only doing their own IP.
I would say they could, but they're much better to build their own IP.
Yeah.
Much better service.
Oh, I know. I'm saying like a studio like Larian might come around and go, hey, we made this really successful game. We know how to make RPGs. We really like Dragon Age. Can we maybe get it?
Great.
It would be
great.
So with this chat, I do think, because I promised Nebula, we are joining him soon. So go check out his stream, Nebula the Wanderer. He's linked in the description. He should be getting it up now. He's not going to be. In reality, it's not going to start for 15 minutes because he's a dumb boy. He doesn't listen to me when I say get ready.
He's like a bratty child. Get ready. I am ready. You said that 2 hours ago. I'm ready now. Get ready.
And with that chat, I want to say thank you all for joining us tonight. I did promise you the hottest take of all. And if in the cosmic balance and scheme of things, if I had to lose Dragon Age so Trump could get a second term, that's acceptable.
So true, Oompy.
You all have an excellent one, and